this is a little bit, well, I guess a lot different than the videos that I normally post on here. Um, I just kind of wanted to be honest with you guys, and I know that sometimes when, you know, people discuss things that they went through or things that they're going through, it does help others, and that's kind of what I'm aiming to do with this, and just to be honest with you guys, because you guys literally mean the world to me, and I know that you guys hear that a lot from other YouTubers and stuff, but I do mean it, and I do want to be as honest as I possibly can with you guys. Like, I will never lie to you guys, ever. I am okay, and I do want to start off by saying that, but I have had a lot going on, and I know 2020 was a pretty rough year for all of us with, COVID and stuff, and the effect it had on a lot of people, and that was a rough year. So I guess I'll dive into it. So I had depression, I guess, and I had it for a while, and it's one of those things where it never really goes away, but it does flare up sometimes, and I was managing. Like, I wasn't on any medication. I stopped self-harming because I was self-harming just not in a way to hurt myself, but in a way to make me feel better, and that's not the answer. And I stopped doing that, and I was in a better place. And then and I always suffered from like anxiety and stuff too. I always had that, but I don't know, I felt really alone, and after meeting Jeff, it did change a lot for me, and I felt love, and like I was incredibly important to somebody, and it did make a huge difference. But you always have that like underlying depression, I guess, and it is hard. I don't even know if any of this is gonna make sense, and I don't even know when I'm going to upload this. It'll probably just sit on my iPad for a very long time. But I had Sebastian, and as anybody who has been pregnant knows, that pregnancy is a very emotional process, and it was, a difficult pregnancy for me, and not even just emotionally, but physically. I felt very ill through basically all of it. I would, so 6 weeks into my pregnancy, I threw up blood, and I was very scared. And I just want to kind of share all this with you guys. I know this is going to be kind of a long video, but I wanted to share all this with you guys. That way you guys know what happens and what led to a certain point, and just to be honest, and maybe it might help you guys. But and I know that some people are going to probably be pretty mad at me for making this video. I am going to leave certain names out, but I know that there are going to be people that are not very happy with this video. But I was very scared, so I did actually call my mom, and my mom told me not to go to the doctors, not to the hospital, because the flu was going on and it was dangerous because of my pregnancy. And I was like, I'm throwing up blood, Mom, I'm scared, and like, can you please come with me? And she told me, and like Jeff was trying to save time because, you know, we're going to be having a baby, so he was trying to save time to take off because maternal leave wasn't a thing. It was like just for females, and he's a male. And she was like, so she's like, well, let me see. And then she hangs up with me. An hour later, I called her back because I hadn't heard from her. Still wouldn't come. So Jeff ended up coming home, and we ended up going to the hospital because I was scared. Like I had never had a baby before. I was scared I was gonna lose Sebastian, and we didn't know, like, we didn't have a name for him yet or anything, but I still felt that bond and stuff, and I was scared. And that's when I found out that I had a bicornuate uterus. And if you guys don't know what that is, then it's kind of like a split uterus. So I was terrified because that increases your chances of so many things and increases your chance of losing the baby later on during your pregnancy. I had blood. There's a little bit of blood around Sebastian. My levels were really, really low. So they were like, you can't wait to see a doctor. You need to call and tell them exactly this, and you have to go. And so that's what I did. They scheduled me, I think it was the following week or so, maybe 2 weeks, but it was fairly soon after. So we went, Jeff went with me. He actually went to all of my appointments with me. The doctor that we had, he was great. First impression, I don't think I was much of a fan, simply because of the things he had to say. The entire appointment, we talked about miscarriages, and that it was very possible that I was going to have one. And if my levels did not increase, then I would need to have, like, they would perform a surgery to do it, and I almost threw up, literally, they had to pass me the garbage can because I felt like I was gonna throw up. The room went dizzy, or I got really dizzy. The room started spinning. It's bad. So then the doctor, I had a bunch of blood work done. The doctor calls me, and he was like, or he called me from actually a cell phone to make sure that I got the answers for the lab results, and he was like, your levels went up. They went up so much, and basically things should be good. It wasn't even an hour after I got that call. I went into the bathroom, and I was bleeding, and it was so much blood, and I was so scared that I was miscarrying. So we went to the hospital that I ended up delivering at, and I had to have an ultrasound done, and it was so painful because if you guys don't know, when you're that early in your pregnancy, they do a vaginal ultrasound, and it was bleeding, so it hurt a tremendous amount, but the Sebastian was fine, and I was so thankful that he was fine, but it was a lot emotionally, and I got taken out of work for a little bit. I was supposed to go down and see my brother and his wife and my nieces, and I couldn't see them. I couldn't travel. I ended up leaving my job earlier than we were expecting because I wasn't supposed to be lifting things, and stress was supposed to be a do not have thing. And let's just say that wasn't the case. I didn't feel like I had much support. I had a lot of support from Jeff, and my brother and stuff, and his wife. His wife is like my best friend. But I felt very alone. And my baby shower came. And a lot of people showed up actually, and it was really nice. But I got a call from my mom in the morning, and she was like, Brittany, you can't make it. And I was like, are you serious? Like, you're not gonna come? And she goes, yeah, I'm sick. I was like, okay. And I hung up the phone. Jeff wasn't planning on going to my baby shower, but when that happened, he changed his mind and decided to go. So we went, and it was fun. It was, and I did feel very loved because of the people that were there, and supporting me and stuff, and it was great. And there was one person who looked at me and was like telling me that she would go pick up my mom and if I wanted her to, and I said, my mom already had a ride. She chose not to come. And her response to me was, are you sure you're not going to regret that? And I had nothing to regret. Like, I wasn't the one who told her not to come. She chose not to come. So that affected me a lot. Now, my dad was already diagnosed with cancer at that point, and I was having a hard time with that. I was seeing him in the hospital a lot, and taking off work to go see him in the hospital and slowly watching him change. Now, I went to, so then Sebastian was born 6 weeks early. He had to be in the NICU for 2 weeks because he was a little, because he was 6 weeks early, so they automatically put them in the NICU because of the time frame, and then on top of that, he wouldn't eat. So, and not like he just wouldn't eat. So it was like a little bit of a battle and push to get him to eat. And so he was there for 2 weeks. The day he was born, we got a lot of backlash from people, certain people, who I'm not going to name, wanting to come. But I didn't want anybody there that day. I had just found out that I had to have a cesarean, which is something that I did not want. And not like if you're someone who wants one, that I'm not judging you at all. I mean, I ended up having one, but it was terrifying to me, and I didn't want one. And even Jeff was upset because that's a major surgery. Like, you don't think of it being a major surgery, but guys, it is a major surgery. Like, it is rough, and it was a pretty big recovery, and we didn't have the help. My birthday, I didn't see anybody. Minus Jeff and then we went to the NICU to see my son, or our son. But yeah, I didn't see anybody. Nobody stopped or anything. Because my birthday is September 17th and Sebastian was born on September 11th. So my birthday he was still in the NICU, and I was still recovering from the C-section. So then the first couple months, we got a lot of backlash on how we were handling things with Sebastian. We were getting backlash because we didn't want him around cigarette smoke at all. He was a preemie, and that's bad in general. So we didn't want smoke to even be on the person's clothes. So we got a lot of backlash from that. We got a lot of We got some backlash from certain people about asking them to put hand sanitizer on. We got backlash from not wanting to bring him places. And if you guys didn't know, within the first 3 months of a newborn's life, they have no immune system. So it is a very dangerous time for a newborn as far as germs and stuff go. After 3 months, you are out of the first high risk level of SIDS, and then it drastically drops after 6 months, and then almost is non-existent after a year. We did have some people helping, so I'm not going to say nobody did, because there was a handful, but we didn't really see people. Like, people didn't ask to come see us and didn't really have much of a hand. And then I also got diagnosed with postpartum depression. So I got put on medication for that, and the medication was working. Well, the first medication didn't do anything, and then the second one was working. I know some people had postpartum so much worse than I did, or do still have it, but so much worse, because they want to hurt their child. I am very blessed that thought has never crossed my mind, but I didn't want to be here. And I didn't like myself. And after you're pregnant and your body doesn't go right back to how it was, and that's a really hard thing, especially if you are insecure. And I know I might come off as confident and really happy, and when I'm filming the videos and I think of you guys and I'm talking about all these things that I love, I am so happy, but it's not so cut and dry. And then my dad almost died. So we got a call from my mom, and she said, "You might want to come down. I think it's time." So we went, and we were begging her to call the doctor and get him to the hospital. She said he had a DNR. Turns out he didn't. And he was basically incoherent, and it was bad. He wasn't really responding. She brought him to the hospital though. So, and that saved his life. The doctor said if it was 24 more hours, he would have been gone. But then the next thing was, the thing with my dad. Then then the virus and everything hit, and we were told we had to stay inside and stuff, and he has stage 4 cancer, and if he got the virus, he would have been done. He was in a very negative environment, and he would get told things like he wasn't going to make it, and so he really didn't stand a chance. When I visited him in the hospital, and Jeff and Sebastian couldn't come in because of the flu, and this was before all the coronavirus stuff. He just cried and tried not to, and said how it's really weird not seeing Jeff, because Jeff and I are always together, and he really wanted to see the baby. And he said how he wasn't eating and how he was scared, and I kept telling him that he was gonna make it. have a very close relationship with my father in the end. And I'm not gonna sit here and say he was this amazing person, because he did have his faults. But I do wish that things were different. I wish he was alive. I wish I could have had one more Christmas with him. Like, Sebastian's party is coming. Well, this will be posted after his party, but he won't be there. But I sat there and I talked to him, and I kept telling him, like, we're gonna go to jumping jacks, we're gonna do all these things, I'm gonna come and see you more. And the virus hit, and I didn't want to bring it to him, because they were saying that, you know, you don't know if you're like, if you're carrying it, and you can still pass it on, even if you're not. So it's like, if he gets this and I have it, like, he's done. But he about a month or so later, I got a call that he was doing really bad, and it was probably gonna be time. And Jeff and I went with Sebastian, and this was the first time that we were around people since the virus hit. And he was incoherent. I remember rubbing his arm and telling him how much I love him, telling him that it was okay. It was bad. The next day we went again. And the same things. I spent a decent amount of time with him, but it was bad, and I had never seen anybody like that, let alone my own parent. And I knew he was gonna go, and he was on hospice at that point, so there's not much you can do. Then the next day, everyone agreed not to go, because we all thought that he was trying to hang on, and we didn't want him to be in pain. And it was around 5 p.m. I got a call saying that he passed. And I threw together Sebastian's diaper bag. Forgot to pack diapers, but I threw it together really quick, and we were in the car and headed down. I walked in that room. Part of me wished that I didn't, but I knew one of us had to. And it was so bad. He was already gone, and he didn't look like him at all. And I decided to forgive my mom, because, you know, everyone had to band together because we didn't have Dad anymore, and we had to, and I wanted a parent. Now, my mom was around for a couple weeks, and then she started drinking and distancing herself from me, and like canceling on me and stuff. And she was canceling on me so much before my dad passed that I was just like, you can't handle this right now. So then we had my dad's service, and I know Jeff was upset because nobody from his family went. And a lot of them said that they didn't get enough notice, which we both disagree, but it is what it is. We made amends. But it was a bad day. Like, you think about going to your parents' service. That's a bad day anyways. Like, I'm 24 now. I was only 23. My dad's not gonna walk me down the aisle. I'm gonna have, like, my older brother is gonna have to do that. And I love my older brother. We get along great. Like, he's one of my best friends, but it's not the same. Like, I'm never gonna have a father-daughter dance. My dad's not gonna go to Sebastian's first party. Like, there's so much. And it wasn't supposed to happen this young. And I know that it's, like, I have an 11-year-old or 12-year-old brother who might be 13 by the time I post this. I don't know, but it wasn't supposed to happen. And, like, we're all really young. My oldest brother, there's 4 of us, and my brother is the oldest, and he's not even, like, none of us are even 30. But his service was bad. It turned into a party, and my dad wasn't a drinker. Like, people were smoking everywhere. I have a baby. And it was so bad. Not a single person came up to any one of us, like me or my siblings, and said, "I'm sorry for your loss." When we just lost our dad. Everybody was making it about them and drinking, and it was just awful. Someone got in my brother's face because he had asked them to, probably, can you do something about the smoking? Because there's a baby here. And it was just such a bad thing. Like, it was nothing that he deserved at all. So that weighed on me for a while. And then my dad had a will, but we never got copies of the will. But I got my dad had a Corvette, a Stingray, and I have it. It was willed to me. I remember, I'm sorry this is so long, guys. I don't want to miss things, and, but my dad brought it home from an auction, and as soon as I saw the car, I absolutely fell in love with it. And, like, it wasn't the color it was now. It was like a purple. It was, oh my gosh, and I fell in love with it, and since then it was my car. He wouldn't sell it because it was mine. And, it's one of those things where, like, I always called it mine, but when it's mine, it's like that bittersweet thing, like I'm glad to have it, but I don't want to have it because I'd rather him. Now, I had a Polaris 4-wheeler, and I remember getting that 4-wheeler. I picked it out. My dad brought it home, and I wanted the 4-wheeler to sleep in my room. I was so excited. Now, that's the 4-wheeler that I learned on. My dad would teach me, like, I learned on it with my dad, and I had all these memories. So I asked my mom, like, hey, can I take that for Sebastian? She would tell me yes repeatedly. Like, I asked multiple times, she said yes. When we went to take it, the garage was locked. And, but there's other ways of getting in, so Jeff got it anyways, and, like, my mom said that I could have it. Now, it quickly turned into a nightmare. I get a call, or from my brother, my older brother, and he's like, your mom is saying that she's gonna call the cops if the four-wheeler's not returned. So we got a hold of my mom, and I was like, you never told me I couldn't take this. And she like said that she never told me that I could, and it just turned into a literal nightmare. And at the end, we had proof of her saying that I could have it. And like, I wanted it for Sebastian because it had memories of me and my father. So I thought that that was such an awesome thing to pass down to my son. And like, yeah, he can't ride it right now, but I want it to stay in that like the almost mint condition that I kept it in, because I didn't beat on it. And then I got this awful text message. And I can't say who it's from. I'm sorry. I mean, as much as I would love to throw this person under a rug, like, she is an awful person. Just awful. I know that this video is probably going to already start things, and it's not my intention for it to start anything. I just want to be as honest with you guys as I possibly can about everything that led me up to the point that I'm getting to. So basically her text message was, how could you do this to your brother? And, you know, how could you put a boy who can't even ride the four-wheeler over your brother? And how, which, you know, that boy's my son. And how could you, you know, add more to him? He already lost his father. I lost my father too. Like, I know that, you know, my little brother is even younger than me, and it's hard. And I love my little brother so much, and I don't want to add things to him. But I'm not adding things to him. And, like, she was saying that how could I put Jeff at risk, and over, like, the stupid things that I want him to do and tell him to do, and I'm putting my family at risk. And then she said that I better go and get my mental illness checked out before it affects my son. And I had talked to this lady like a handful of times, and she's on my dad's side, but she's not actually family. Like, to me, she's not family. And I kept saying, like, hey, this isn't your place. And so the only way that she would have known about my mental illness is my mom. So I was really upset, and that triggered me a lot. And, you know, throwing somebody's mental illness in their face is literally one of the lowest things you can do. Like, that's not something to mess with at all. And I eventually told my mom, like, it's her or me. Like, because she was, like, my mom's, like, best friend. And I was like, it's her or me, because I don't know how you can have someone in your life that said such awful things to your daughter. And, like, even today, my mom was, like, the last time I spoke to my mom, she was like, I don't talk to my mom really at all now. And it sucks because, you know, she's my mom, and I do love her still, but it is what it is. And, you know, it's sometimes, you know, I personally don't believe that blood is thicker than water, or whatever a saying is. Like, I think that there's limits even when it comes to family. But she said that she think I mistook what that lady had said to me. There's really no way of mistaking that. She berated me and put me down and did exactly what she intended to do. So I was having a substantial hard time. I was very close to my breaking point. My medication had stopped working. Now, I was upset because I felt very unsupported and unloved, and I know Jeff loves me very much. Mike and Megan, which is my brother and his wife. I know they love me, but they are also in a different state because my brother's in the military. And, but I know they love me, and, you know, I was very close to my breaking point. Now, there was a guy who I got into a fight with on Jeff's side and pushed me over the edge, and I talked things out with him and stuff, and things are better, but so I'm not really going to dive much into it, but essentially it made me feel like I was worthless and Jeff was better off without me, and everybody was. And I felt very alone. I resorted back to self-harming, and I overdosed. Now, shortly after I did that, I realized that that's not what I wanted to do. But I had already taken too many. And I had to spend 3 days in a hospital because of it. And even I'm doing a lot better. You guys, honestly, like, all the love and support you guys give me, it's incredible, and it makes me feel so blessed. Jeff literally makes me feel like the luckiest person in the world, and then I have my little boy who, he smiles, my heart melts. And he can literally take the worst day and change it around for me. But I got pushed too much, and I was telling people, hey, I'm close to my breaking point, hey, I can't do this, and nobody was listening because everything else that was going on in their lives. And I get everybody has something going on in their lives, but we're human and we need that support. And, you know, even today, like, I have a couple of people who, you know, they show me that they love me and stuff, but there's still a lot that don't come around. And, you know, you hear things like, oh, I wish that, like, COVID didn't happen. Well, we have phones. Like, we are in an era of technology. You have FaceTime, you have text messages, you have phones to call people. So if you're that scared, just pick up the phone. Like, it's not an excuse. If you know somebody is, actually, guys, can you do me a favor? If you know that somebody that you know has lost a parent, is going through any sort of hard time, it doesn't matter what it is, reach out to them. Let them vent to you. Tell them how important they are and how much you love them. Because I can guarantee you that they don't always feel it. And sometimes that darkness is a lot on a person. So if you guys could do that for me, that would be amazing. And to continue doing that, continue showing those people that they are important to you. Like, honestly, I got like a hey, sorry for your loss about my dad, but I didn't really get much of a how are you doing? Are you okay? Like, people don't think to reach back out to those people. It's not this cut and dry thing. It's not the person passed and now the person's fine. Like, it's been a month. Oh, it's been 6 months. No, that's not how that works. So, if you guys could do that for me, and if you guys are going through anything, just reach out to me. And I will more than happily listen to you, because that is a huge thing. I can't tell you how many times I have explained what I am going through to people, not to make them feel bad for me, not to make them feel guilty or anything like that, but just to make them understand, and they don't acknowledge anything that I'm saying. And it hurts a lot. So I am in a much better place than I was, and I know this was a long one. But, mental illness is it's a very real thing, and so many things can cause it. And I wake up thankful for you guys every single day, and I do want you to know that. And I love you guys so much, and Jeff and Sebastian. And I just want to thank you guys. And I know this was a pretty sad video, but I just want to be honest with you. I never want you guys to feel like I'm lying to you or hiding things. I mean, obviously there's certain things that I keep personal. That's, but I hope that if any of you guys are suffering with a loss of a parent, child, friend, a mental illness, a pet, anything, always feel free to reach out to me. I hope that you can always reach out to somebody in your life, and just know that you are loved and that you are never alone. I love you guys so much, and if you made it through to the end of this very long video, I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day. Again, just make sure you're showing the people in your life that you love them. And I love you guys. Bye.